I'm in Little Rock, Arkansas today. I'm checking out the grave of Ann Presley. She was brutally murdered in her house. We're gonna get into the details, what happened, kind of tell you some backstory on Ann, and then show you her grave here, which is in kind of downtown Little Rock. So let's get into it. So Ann is actually buried here at Roselawn Cemetery. This cemetery, I must say, is quite run down. It almost looked abandoned when I first got to it. There was only one entrance that was open and the rest were all shuttered and the gates were all broken and stuff. So this area might maybe not be the best area, but let's get into the story. Ann Presley was born on August 28th, 1982 and was murdered on October 25th, 2008. She was 26 years old at the time of her murder. Ann worked as a news anchor for Channel 7 News, and so she of course had a pretty prominent job there at the news station. Just before 4:30 in the morning, about a half hour or so before Ann was supposed to go live on air, her mother called 911 as Ann was not answering her calls. Her mother usually gave her a call, like a wake-up call, to make sure she was, ready to go for all the news. Ann's mother, of course, called 911, and when police arrived, they found Ann unresponsive in her bed. She had injuries to her head and upper body, which was pretty consistent with a severe beating. She had also been sexually assaulted. Her left hand had been broken, and her face was bashed in beyond recognition. So again, she was brutally killed. Now, Ann owned 2 different dogs, and police theorized that the murderer gained access to her house by the doggy door. On November 26th, 2008, police arrest Curtis Vance for Ann's murder. So the case broke when Curtis was stopped by police because of a suspicious license plate. Some of the things that Curtis was saying was quite suspicious and bizarre. And so police ended up getting a DNA swab from him, and that DNA swab linked him to Ann's murder, but it also linked him to another sexual assault, a school teacher by the name of Kristen Edwards. It was almost identical in terms of how Curtis kind of snuck in the house and just waited. Even though Curtis's DNA matched the DNA found, and even though he admitted to being in Kristen Edwards' house, the jury ended up getting hung, which meant that it resulted in a mistrial. It's unfortunate that the jury couldn't agree on guilty or not on Kristen's sexual assault anyway. And about a year or so after that, on November 11th, 2009, Curtis was convicted of capital murder, burglary, and sexual assault. Curtis was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. And they believe that Curtis chose Ann kind of as a crime of opportunity. During interviews, Curtis told police that he beat Ann with a garden tool after she woke and found him committing a sex act beside her bed. After earning her bachelor's degree in political science, Presley was hired at KATV in May of 2004 to produce Good Morning Arkansas, and she was promoted to a full-time reporter position November 2004. Again, rest in peace to Ann Presley. Again, super young, had literally everything going for her. Like I said, a huge job as a news anchor. Anyway guys, I'm gonna head out of here. If you're new around here and you enjoy these crime videos, make sure you subscribe, turn the little bell icon on, and I'll see you guys on the next one. I'm going to be driving through Arkansas, Illinois, Michigan, and then East Coast. So if you guys have any crime suggestions of any cases you want me to cover in those areas, make sure you leave a comment. I'll see you guys on the next one.